Hello everyone and welcome to Azam Shah Weekly. In this video, I'm going to show you that how you can load an existing SwiftUI view into a UIKit application. And not only that, but how can you interact with the SwiftUI view from using your UIKit application or from your UIKit application. The view that we're talking about is this ratings view. You can see that the ratings view displays the ratings. We can go ahead and change the ratings view if you want. We can go ahead and change the rating to be 4, and now you can see it's 4-star instead of 3. Now, one constraint that I'm going to put on you is you're not allowed to change, you're not allowed to add, subtract, alter the ratings view. So the code in the ratings view must remain the same. You're not allowed to touch it. Well, the first thing would be, how do we load a rating view, which is a SwiftUI view, into our UIKit application? I'm not really using storyboards, so I'll be doing everything by typing code programmatically, but you can use storyboards if you want to. So the first thing is, how do we load it? If I run the application right now, you can see the view controller doesn't really have anything. It just displays the view. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with changing the background of the view to something. Let's say white color. Okay, that's fine. But how do we load the rating view? We can load the ratings view by using something called a UI hosting controller. Make sure that you import SwiftUI. The hosting controller is actually used to host SwiftUI views and their hierarchy. You can see that we can pass in a root view, which in this case can be our rating view. For now, for the rating, we're just going to go ahead and pass some constant rating, meaning it will always display the 3 stars. That's why we're passing 3. Eventually, you will see that we will change that, but right now we're just passing 3. This is going to return us the hosting controller. Okay, great. Once we get the hosting controller, we can get the view from the hosting controller. So let's get the rating view, which is hosting controller.view. Else, we will return. If you're not able to get the view from the hosting controller, then you can't really do anything. We will also make sure that we are adding the hosting controller as a child view controller. This is going to allow you to manipulate your rating view because the rating view is the one that is holding on to, well, the hosting controller is the one that is holding on to the rating view, and all the traits and all the different things that actions that you want to perform, you can, and all the lifetime events for the rating view will still be for the hosting controller. So that's why we're adding it, the hosting controller as a child controller to the view controller. And finally, we can go ahead and say add subview and adding the rating view. Great. Now currently the rating view may not display because we haven't really applied any constraints to it. So let's go ahead and add some constraints to it. First of all, I'm just going to go ahead and say rating view dot translate auto resizing constraints to false. I do want the ratings view to be centered in the screen. So rating view dot center x anchor dot constraint equals to the center x anchor, and we will activate it. Just like the center x anchor, we can also go ahead and use the center y anchor. So this means it will be centered in the screen. And there we go. Looks good. This is a SwiftUI view, which is now loaded in our UIKit application. But how do we interact with this view? I can't really click on it. It doesn't really work anymore. And that is the hard part, meaning how would we do that? Well, one way would be to pass inside the rating view, we can pass a view model and we can get a notification whenever the view model is changed. But we're not really allowed to change the rating view. That's one of the limitations that we have already subscribed to, or we have already put that limitation on us. So if we can't really change the rating view, how can we get the rating? Let's go ahead and see how we can do that. Now, this solution was posted online, and I will put a link to the actual tweet in which Asprey and Andrew proposed this particular solution. So the credit goes to them. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a holding view, which is going to call holder view. I mean, it can be called anything you want, but the purpose of this is that this holder view, since we're not allowed to touch the rating view, this holder view will be responsible for displaying the rating view. All right. Now, constant 3 or something, but we will change that constant value. The holder view will also make sure that it is observed, it is holding a reference to the view controller, which will now be marked with an observable object. This means that we can go ahead and add one property to it. We can say published, and this can be the actual rating. Integer, and we can assign 3 to it as a default rating if you want. So the holder view will get this as an observe object, var vc and view controller. And instead of passing in the constant over here, now we can pass a bindable expression, which is vc.rating, but as a binding. There we go. All right. Now, the reason that we're using an observe object over here and not the state object is because the holder view is not really trying to retain the value. It's not trying to hold on to the value. The view controller is the one that is trying to hold on to the value and display it on the screen. So one might say that, okay, once this rating gets populated, where do you want to display it in the view controller? And what I want to do is I will simply create a ratings label. I mean, you can display it anything you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and create a rating label. And that is where I want to display the actual rating. But how do I get the rating? Since the rating is marked as publish, we can subscribe to it, meaning whenever the rating is going to change, we can get a notification. So we can say rating.sync. We are going to get some sort of a rating over here, like a value. And now we can print out the value if you want to. You can see that the sync function does return something, like a subscription, but we're not really handling that. So it would be a good idea to add that using combine. So let's go on the top, and I will add cancelable, and I will also import combine. Next, I can assign cancelable over here. So it can hold the reference, so it doesn't really go away. And that is pretty much it. Now, whenever a rating is selected, well, we need to make sure that we are actually displaying the holder view over here. There we go. And passing in the view controller, which is self. So you can see that we haven't really changed a single line of code in the rating view. That was our limitation. That was our constraints. So we are abiding by the constraints. Now, currently, we're just printing it out on the rating on the screen, on the output window, but probably we want the rating to be, available to us so that we can display it. So if I say rating over here, you can see that we probably need to go ahead and unwrap it. Not really sure if we call it like that. Okay. And now we can go ahead and use our rating label to display the rating, whatever the rating is. We can also mark this as a week, so it doesn't really get hold onto the reference. There we go. And now let's go ahead and run this. Okay, a couple of different things. Our label is not getting displayed. The reason our label is not getting displayed, we never really added it in the first place. So in order to use the label, in order to display the label, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a stack view instead of multiple views. This stack view is adding a couple of different things. You can see it's adding the rating label. It is also adding the rating view as well as the rating label. And now we can go ahead and probably center out the stack instead of the rating view. Now let's go ahead and run it. Okay. So currently our stack view doesn't like it. It's displaying somewhere else. Probably we need to just change some of the properties like this one. And there we go. And now you can see that our SwiftUI view is working with UIKit. And the great thing is that we didn't really change a single line of code in our rating view. It is exactly as before. The only thing we introduce is a parent view, meaning a container view, which in this case is the holder view. And the reason we had to do that is because we had to get the value from the bindable expression. So this is how you can use a SwiftUI view in a UIKit application and also listen to the different events that are generated by the SwiftUI view. If you want to learn more about how you can use SwiftUI views in your UIKit application, then check out my brand new book called UIKit with SwiftUI recipes. This book contains a lot of different recipes that will allow you to use SwiftUI views into your UIKit application. This involves communication between SwiftUI views, finding the delegate, and also becoming a delegate using the coordinator pattern, how to communicate using the global environment, and even covers that how you can use the new configuration for the hosting configuration in your application that is available for iOS 16 and Xcode 14. So you can even check out that part. The book only costs $2.99, but if you're feeling pretty good and generous, you can pay $4.99. All the proceeds to the book sales will always go to the charity. Thank you so much for your support.